Good afternoon and thank you for joining us this Wednesday. I'm Mackailyn Johnson. Here are the top stories we're following for you. Now at noon, multiple shots fired reports in Searcy last night. We'll take a look at the different incidents and what police are saying. And after multiple votes, the House is still looking for its next speaker. We'll head out to Capitol Hill and see what's happening on the second day of voting. And both fans and rivals are coming together to show support for NFL star Damar Hamlin after he collapsed on the field. Later, the tributes and what his family is saying about his condition. But first, meteorologist Scott Covert joins us. You know, it's a little bit cooler out there, and I don't want to jinx it, but it's also quiet, and I don't think anybody's complaining about that.
I think you just nailed the forecast. It is cooler, it is quiet, and there are no complaints from the Weather Center with this forecast. After having a very active 2-week pattern, finally things are going to quiet down, at least for the next few days. Here at the noon hour, temperatures around the state sitting at 55 in Little Rock, 50 in Conway and Searcy, upper 50s like 58 in Monticello, 59 in Camden. We had a cold front move through yesterday. That's why it feels a bit cooler out there. Despite that, it's still beautiful sunshine across the entire state of Arkansas. Beautiful blue skies to enjoy. There will be a bit of a light breeze with temperatures today topping out at 59 in Little Rock, 57 your high in Pine Bluff, 53 likely where we end up this afternoon in Searcy and Batesville. Here's what's coming up. We're going to see dry weather through the end of the week. Those temperatures are a bit on the cool side. And then rain chances back in the forecast for some this weekend. I'll let you know who and when coming up in a few moments.
Scott, thank you. Now to updates to a story we first brought you last night. We now know overnight there were 3 different shootings in Searcy. 2 people are dead after a shootout at a McDonald's, and police are investigating a second shooting at the Dogwood Manor apartment complex, then another at the Ridge Apartments about 30 minutes later. Nobody was hurt in the 2 apartment shootings, but police believe those are connected. The deaths at the McDonald's came after 2 men had an argument before shooting each other. Both of them were taken to Unity Health, where they later died. The McDonald's shootings and the apartment shootings are not thought to be connected. We have a team in Searcy trying to learn more for our 5 and 6 o'clock newscasts. But there's some good news that community leaders in Pine Bluff are proud of. Groups working to curb the violence say the city has now gone 4 months without a homicide. That's an important milestone for a city that averaged 2 to 4 homicides per month in recent years. We've reported on the work of groups like the Faith Community Coalition Ministerial Alliance. They say the work starts in schools. Their program, Pastors on Patrol, brings faith leaders into local schools, engaging them with young people.
Pastors and leaders in this city began to try to work harder to reduce the homicides and reduce the violence. We have 3 components we're working with: crime prevention, education, and economic development.
Since Pastors on Patrol began, they reported a 33% reduction in violent behavior on school campuses. And there is a significant police presence at Atkins High School starting today and for the rest of the week after a school shooting threat. The superintendent posting this message on Facebook last night saying a written threat was found in a boy's bathroom. Police are now investigating, and the superintendent says all absences will be excused today. Not since 1923 have we seen a battle on the House floor over who will be the Speaker of the House. But a small group of Republicans withholding their support from GOP leader Kevin McCarthy means history is once again repeating itself. Skylar Henry has more details from Capitol Hill.
Voting is resuming as lawmakers attempt to choose a new Speaker of the House after trying 3 separate times Tuesday to no avail.
A Speaker has not been elected.
As many as 20 Republicans have voted for someone other than House GOP leader Kevin McCarthy during the vote so far.
I really have a lot of respect for these guys. They're some of the most talented members of our conference. They're very passionate in their beliefs. Unfortunately, I believe a lot of this is personal.
But McCarthy is confident he will be able to win enough support in the end to become Speaker.
If we're able to work out our differences and take this time, we'll only be stronger to be able to accomplish the things.
McCarthy points out more than 200 members of his caucus support him in his bid and says he won't back down. He's also calling in some support from some higher profile Republicans. McCarthy spoke with former President Donald Trump Tuesday night, and this morning, Trump called on the holdouts to vote for Kevin, close the deal, take the victory. Kevin McCarthy will do a good job and maybe even a great job.
He thinks it's better than all the Republicans get together to solve this. It doesn't look good for Republicans, but we want to be able to solve it where we're stronger in the long run.
Meanwhile, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz, who's been very vocal in his opposition to McCarthy, sent a letter to the architect of the Capitol asking why McCarthy was allowed to move into the House Speaker's office and asked how long will he remain there before he's considered a squatter. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
It's important to note the House cannot conduct any other business, including swearing in new members, until a speaker has been elected. Now, over in the Senate, Arkansas senior member John Bozeman is starting his third term this week. The senator was sworn in yesterday by Vice President Kamala Harris during the chamber's first meeting. Bozeman is expected to continue to serve as the ranking member of the Senate Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry. Meanwhile, Governor-elect Sarah Huckabee Sanders is looking out of state for her latest cabinet appointment, this time for the Department of Corrections. She says she will be nominating Joe Porfiry for the role. He is a key criminal justice leader for former Republican Governor Doug Ducey of Arizona as the Deputy Director of Corrections. Porfiry joins other nominees moving to work here, including Education Secretary hopeful Jacob Oliva of Florida and DHS nominee Christy Putnam of Kentucky. The governor-elect says criminal justice will be among her priorities in the legislative session that begins next week. Ahead of the session, 3 Arkansas lobbyists and House Speaker Matthew Shepard shared their thoughts. John Gilmore, a lobbyist and former official in the Asa Hutchinson administration, says he expects the debate around criminal justice to include proposals on tougher prison sentences for violent offenders, as well as new prison construction. The panel also believes that Sanders will push for changes to K-12 education in Arkansas and more tax cuts. While Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin remains in the ICU at the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, fans and well-wishers across the nation are praying for his recovery and showing their support in many ways. Bradley Blackburn reports from New York.
The family of Damar Hamlin tells CBS News the Buffalo Bills safety remains on a ventilator, but there's been some improvement since he collapsed on the field Monday night. His uncle is grateful medical personnel on the field quickly began CPR.
If not for what they did, my nephew would be dead right now.
Amen. Amen. Outside the hospital in Cincinnati, fans gathered for a vigil.
We are at 8:55. This is the time we saw that hit on the field. At this moment, I'd like everybody to take a moment of silence.
Bring healing and restoration.
And there were more prayers in Buffalo.
A player comes to Buffalo, they're not just playing here, they are community and they're our family.
At Niagara Falls, both the Canadian and U.S. sides were lit up in the team's colors in honor of Hamlin, while houses in the western New York region are also going blue and red to show support. And the Bills' rivals, the New England Patriots, paid tribute too, lighting up their Jumbotron to an empty stadium with the message, Patriots Nation stands with Damar Hamlin. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
The NFL has united around Hamlin too, with all 32 teams posting Pray for Damar on their Twitter pages. Actor Jeremy Renner is recovering in a hospital bed after a New Year's Day accident near his home in Nevada. The 51-year-old posted a selfie and thanked his fans for their kind words. The Avengers star was run over by his snowplow, suffering blunt chest trauma and other injuries. The local sheriff says the accident happened while Renner was helping a family member who was stranded in 3 feet of snow. More than 100,000 people have to walk through St. Peter's Basilica to view the body of Pope Benedict XVI as it lies in state. When the viewing ends tonight, the Vatican says a one-page account of Benedict's papacy will be placed inside the coffin. Pope Francis will celebrate the funeral mass in St. Peter's Square on Thursday. The man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students has agreed to be extradited from Pennsylvania to Idaho to face murder charges. Brian Kohberger made his first court appearance yesterday. The hearing came as police released video of Kohberger getting pulled over for allegedly speeding in Indiana 2 weeks before his arrest. Danya Backus is in Idaho.
Wearing a red jumpsuit and shackled with armed guards, suspect Brian Koberger appeared stoic and calm as he walked into a Pennsylvania courtroom Tuesday to waive his extradition rights. He's facing 4 murder charges in Idaho for allegedly stabbing to death Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin in November. Once he's here, he is allowed by law to see an affidavit explaining the evidence against him.
I definitely believe that one of the main reasons the defendant chose to waive extradition and hurry his return back to Idaho was the need to know what was in those documents.
The 28-year-old criminology student was attending Washington State University and lived just 15 minutes from the crime scene. About a month after the murders, Koberger went on a pre-planned road trip with his father to their family's home in Pennsylvania. New dash and body cam footage released by Indiana State Police show a trooper pulling over Koberger during that trip. And this was not the only time they were stopped. Just minutes before, a local sheriff's deputy pulled the white Hyundai Elantra over for allegedly following another vehicle too closely. Both times, Koberger received warnings. The 2 law enforcement agencies said there was no information available on a suspect for the crime in Idaho at the time of the traffic stops. But a week earlier, Moscow police did release this flyer asking for help finding the owner of the same type of vehicle in connection with the murders. Sources tell CBS News that law enforcement surveilled the cross-country trip using E-ZPass monitoring.
It's my sincere hope that this marks a clear step in the right direction of effectuating justice.
Danya Backus, CBS News, Moscow, Idaho.
CBS News has learned authorities believe they linked DNA found at the crime scene to Koberger thanks to DNA in an ancestral database. If convicted, Koberger faces life in prison and possibly the death penalty. And many employers want their employees back in the office. After the break, we'll hear from workers who say they're never going back. Scott?
Weather like this, I wouldn't go back to the office either. Beautiful blue skies all across the Natural State here this afternoon. But the question is now, how long can we enjoy this nice weather? I'll have a look at when things start to change and when rain chances return, coming up when we return.